So what's going on, guys? I'm Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be talking about what could be the first map in Black Ops 5, Black Ops 6, or the more likely case of what the game's going to be called, Black Ops Gulf War. Since it's a tryout game, that's a guarantee that it's going to have a zombies mode, and we have heard a few things about it already through leaks, about what the first couple of zombies maps could be, their locations and some of their features, which I've already done a video on. But whilst I was doing that, I was looking back at some of the intel that we had for Cold War in the final map Forsaken, and there is one particular piece of intel that is very interesting because it could give us our first hints officially about what our first Black Ops Gulf War zombies map could entail. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Like I said, Forsaken was the final map within Black Ops Cold War. Within its ending cutscene, it gave us a teaser as to what we could be seeing in Treyarch's next game. At the very end, it showed us 5 years after the Forsaken ending in the 1990s, which was when the Gulf War was. Dr. Peck was in Japan. So that was our first little teaser towards the next zombies game. But within the map, there is also loads of intel that you can collect. Most of it is very mundane and boring, but one of them, titled Progress Report, is worth taking a look at. It is for the director of Requiem, who we know is Richtofen from Secretary Executive Office, and it reads, "It was a big week down here in West Virginia. Our cover story went live in the town of Redacted, where the citizens were informed the nuclear power plant had experienced a tower failure and was leaking. At this time, most of the town had been evacuated and placed in lodgings one county over. We've established a disaster relief fund in coordination with the local government. We expect relocations and payments to begin in 2 weeks. As you predicted, a few locals weren't exactly keen on giving up their land and were asserting their rights as American citizens to protect their property. We'll see how they feel once we start construction on the wall. 3 additional venture companies have been established so that we can begin to move supplies in, including a shipping company at the West Virginia Public Ports Authority, which is crucial to the 5,000 tons of steel we are expecting to be delivered next week. We are still dealing with a shortage of boring machines on the East Coast, which is surprising. We're in coal country, which is now impacting the build schedule for our tunnel network. I am seeing what we can do to acquire machines from the Midwest. Milwaukee and Indianapolis still owe us a favour, but it will take time to arrange. Lastly, this week was orientation week for our latest batch of new hires. 53 scientists, 32 military personnel, 18 operations personnel, 4 custodians, and a partridge in a pear tree. We'll see how many make the month. Our retention rate is up 30% after the latest round. Improvements. That's all for now. Looking forward to your arrival, sir." So that is a progress report from the Secretary Executive Office to Richtofen, the director. But even though this can be found in Forsaken, there are some stuff in here that don't correlate to what we saw take place in Cold War Zombies. What we've seen so far in the storyline, and this isn't necessarily uncommon. We had ciphers in Black Ops 3's final map Revelations, which talk about things that we never saw took place in the story. There is a cipher from Dempsey talking about him dying in Black Ops 4's final map, Tag der Toten. That was the case less so because it was a wrap up to the storyline. So it's not uncommon to have ciphers or intel in final Zombies maps that hint towards the future, and this one doesn't seem to be any different because it talks about things such as the wall that they're trying to build. I'm not talking about the one between the USA and Mexico. Let's not get confused. Not that wall. This progress report talks about 5,000 tons of steel being delivered to build it and other projects. They're trying to acquire boring machines to build tunnels, and they've hired a bunch of new people from 53 scientists, 32 military personnel, operations people, custodians. So it seems that now that everything in Forsaken was wrapped up, now that the Forsaken himself was trapped inside of this device, now that Samantha was trapped in the Dark Ether, and she'd no longer cause a problem to Richtofen's future projects, Project Janus. Now that the Requiem team were arrested, Weaver and the crew, Project Janus could begin, but we never found out what that was. Of course we're going to in the next game, but could what's been mentioned in this progress report relate to that? Could Richtofen building this wall and digging tunnels relate to whatever Project Janus entails? Because that's still a huge mystery, and it's quite interesting because this letter was written on June 1st, 1985, just a couple of days before Forsaken happens. But if Black Ops Gulf War Zombies is at least 5 years after this, 5 years after this letter was written, then I'm assuming whatever's been spoken about in here, whatever they're constructing, is finished, and Project Janus is well underway. At least you'd think so if 5 years had gone by. I don't know, but what is he up to? Why would he need to build a wall? To me, that either means he's trying to hide something, cover it up, or to trap something. So he's either building a wall so no one can see what's going on, so that no one can get in, or that so whatever is inside can't get out. And what is this tunnel network he's building going to be used for? Why did he need all of these new scientists and military people? 18 operations personnel. Whatever it is he's doing, it's big. Maybe this is just a theory, but we saw the Forsaken was trapped and Richtofen was transporting him somewhere. We don't know where, but maybe to here, West Virginia. Maybe the wall is to keep him inside, but since he's already trapped in this device, that wouldn't make too much sense. And even then, there are still loads of questions with Cold War's cutscene that we don't have answers to yet, because Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is a sequel to Treyarch's next game, and Vanguard Zombies was a prequel to Cold War. That means none of the questions that we had were answered, and they're not going to be until next year. All we can do now is really speculate. Could this confirm that our next Zombies map does take place in West Virginia then? In Cold War, our maps were D Machine, which was a scientific laboratory where the particle accelerator was to open the rift to the Dark Ether. We had Firebase C, which was kind of like a military base, Mao the Totem, which was the exception, but then we had Forsaken, which was used for experimentation as well. That was the line that they kind of went down in Cold War Zombies as far as maps went, and it could be the same in the next game. One off, or maybe our first Zombies map could be this, us going to this West Virginia location where the wall is constructed and there are tunnels. Or the other option is, we're going wherever Peck was going, which would also make sense because that was left on a cliffhanger. It took place in 1990, 5 years after Cold War, where Peck wanted to go to this location on the map near Japan, but if you look at it, he's pointing, well, in the middle of the ocean it seems like. Unless there's a small island there, so we could end up with an island map, which would match up with the leaks that we had just a couple of weeks ago that told us that we're going to be getting two different Zombies maps, one that takes place in a city with tall buildings and a bank, which could be the West Virginia map, and then the leak also told us about a map with an elevator that goes underground to laboratories and cells, and that has a deck with tentacle traps, which would match up with an island theme map, which could be this location near Japan where Peck is pointing. The only not problem I have with that, but it would make more sense surely for the laboratory and underground sections to be in the West Virginia map, not the island map, since we know that's where they're building the tunnel network in West Virginia, but as of right now, it's completely all speculation. We don't know, and we still have a year to go. I never covered this on the channel because I've been saying it for the past year or so, but Charlie Intel just tweeted it themselves the other day, where they said COD 2024 is the first Call of Duty title in history to have a 4-year development cycle. I mean, I've been saying that for about 2 years now. Everybody should know that. It makes sense. We know that Call of Duty developers start working on the next game pretty much after they release their current one. So if their last game, which was Black Ops Cold War, came out 3 years ago now, when it doesn't come out till next year, assuming they started working on it straight after they released Cold War in October, November time, whenever it came out, that means by the time COD 2024 comes around, they would have been working on that game for 4 years, which is a crazy amount of time. They are right when they say no Call of Duty has ever had a 4-year development cycle. The most it's ever been is 3. And if you think of what Treyarch were able to do with 3 years, we had 4 Zombies maps on day 1 in Black Ops Cold War. We had 2 Zombies maps on day 1 for Black Ops 3. So if they've had 4 years to make COD 2024, we should at least get 2 Zombies maps on day 1, instead of just how we got 1 in Cold War or Vanguard. Or Modern Warfare 3, where we don't get any round-based Zombies maps, and we get this alternate mode because they have a shortage of time. That's not to say it's bad, that's just me saying they've had a lot of time to develop it, so I wouldn't expect this next Zombies game to be anything like Modern Warfare 3, Vanguard, or Cold War. Maybe in terms of style, but in terms of quality, I'd expect the same level of quality that we used to get for BO4, 3, and before then. So yeah, there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.